Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out today. Welcome to Tribute to Mandela, an evening of poetry and prose. We're so happy to be producing this evening in partnership with MOHI's longtime organizational partner, the Black Heritage Society of Washington State, as well as the African American Writers Alliance. Hopefully some of you got to go see the Mandela exhibit upstairs before the program. And if you didn't get a chance, it will be on display until September 7th. The exhibit was produced by Round Room Live in partnership with the Royal House of Mandela and Royal House of Mandela Investments. It also contains a portion on local anti-South African apartheid organizing curated by MOHI staff member Anthony Long. A few notes before we start. The bathrooms are down that hallway on the left. We have some snacks and drinks in the back. Our store is also open if you'd like to purchase something on your way out. And beyond that, feel free to get up and move as you need to. And if you need anything, look for those of us with MOHI tags, and we're happy to answer any questions and help you as we can. Nelson Mandela's steadfast vision inspired international solidarity with Indigenous people in South Africa and globalized the anti-apartheid struggle. It's important to both acknowledge and be in solidarity with the Indigenous peoples of this place, the Muckleshoot, Duwamish, Suquamish, and all Coast Salish people. Historically, Native communities were forcefully removed from this city, but today we honor their continued endurance with deep respect and gratitude for their stewardship of this place. We encourage you to do your own research and visit the websites of local tribes to learn more about whose land you are on and how to support their sovereignty. Now I'm going to welcome up BHS President Stephanie Johnson Tolliver, who will be speaking a little bit about tonight's and what wonderful things you are in for.
The one with the railing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to MOHI this evening. It is my pleasure on behalf of BHS to be here and welcome you and also the African American Writers Alliance for their tribute to Mandela. Coming out on a really beautiful evening like it is in Seattle is I admire you for that and deciding to join us. I'm here this evening, and I'm really grateful. Thank you, Rachel and MOHI partners for allowing me a few minutes ahead of the program to talk about how much I admire the African American Writers Alliance, my strong appreciation for their written and spoken word. I've seen them in community many times and am always thrilled and overjoyed to hear what they have to say and how they respond. You might hear something in their message tonight that is a word, maybe a sentence or a phrase that meets you where you need to be met, or it touches you in a way that feels like it's designed specifically for you in this moment. At least that's the way I take it in every time I'm sitting and listening to their words. The power to communicate and interpret words is our unique ability as beings, right? Tonight, from the writers, you'll hear a call for your attention, a feeling, an expression, the emotion and drive to lean your sensibilities toward a just and liberated democratic society with what I call all power to the people. The discourse and constants that remind us of our humanity were the commitment and selfless acts of Nelson Mandela, then and even now relevant today. And still relevant, yes. We can face the truth of why we must continue to challenge the inhumanities against all people and the senseless harm to our planet. I think about it every single day. The big takeaway is we are all worthy of one another, our companionship, our humanity. Just can't say enough words about it. I am just really stuck lately with how I am feeling just a little helpless about what I can do in community, but I'm hoping that with the words that you'll hear tonight, you'll be able to take away some action of your own. And now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. This is really an evening for the writers. And it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Georgia McDade. She's an educator, published author, humanitarian, advocate for literacy, and a charter member of the African American Writers Alliance since its inception in 1991. Her love for people, the planet, and prose encourages others to follow their writing passion. Georgia will share some of why her journey and her response to Mandela as part of this amazing troupe of creatives that will this evening take turn and share their responses. So with no further hesitation and my admiration, Dr. Georgia McDade.
Hello, everybody. It's so nice to look out and see people whom I know, and there are a number of you, of course, whom I don't know, but I am so glad that you're here. I want to tell you a little about the African American Writers Alliance. We were founded in 1991 by Randy Eddings. Randy is from California, where she was accustomed to go into writing groups. She came to Seattle expecting to find some with African Americans in them. She was disappointed, so she did what I like to say my mom always told us to do: take what you have and make what you want. She put an ad in the Seattle Times asking writers of African descent to meet her at Langston Hughes. We did, and here we are. We read, okay, you give us an invitation and we'll accept it. I can't recall turning down any invitations. We have been, let's see, as far as Orcas Island and Bellingham, but all over the Seattle area. And we love reading. We've been to kindergartners and people getting doctorates, and we've been to middle schools and elementary schools, churches and taverns and festivals and fairs. We love what we do, and we love sharing what we do. So we invite you to check out our website. There must be at least 60, 65 members now, and last time I checked, there are more than 80 books that we've done. And some of us had published prior to joining AAWA, but I do not mind admitting I have published far more since I've been a member than before. So we encourage people to write, to tell their stories in their works. So please check out AAWA. Now, I get to be first. And as we were doing the sound checking, somebody used some words I had thought to use, and I said, oh, I'm not going to do that. And it was funny because in a lot of ways, we have a lot of similarities. So now I am going to read what everybody has over there. The title of my little piece is Ignorance, the worst weapon of mass destruction. Ignorance, the greatest or worst weapon of mass destruction. During the one strike in which I have participated, we educators had bumper stickers that read, "If you think education is expensive, try ignorance." That's the closest I've come to placing a bumper sticker on my car. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. My other favorite statement about ignorance is one I adapted from an often quoted phrase shortly before the Iraq War. Weapons of mass destruction. Every time we looked, we heard that phrase. I maintain that the greatest weapon of mass destruction is ignorance. If you know me, you would not be surprised that I thought of these two quotes when asked to talk about Mandela. You see, I think education saved Mandela. I would never say education can save everyone, but I do believe it can save most of us, enhance most of us. And yes, I know some people are punished because they're educated. Please note that I am talking about real education, not miseducation. People who would come to a museum such as this probably do not need a distinction. But I want to make sure you know that for me, education, like good literature, always broadens and sharpens and deepens one's awareness toward life. Education does not restrict. That is, unless you want to say education can significantly reduce our desire to be less humane. Mandela, though physically bound for 27 years, bound for doing what people all over the world have done, want to do, are doing, that is, be free, fight to be free. New ignorance is the greatest weapon of mass destruction. One group's ignorance of the people in another group, one group's ignorance of the culture of another group can create a world of instability. Ignorance is the failure to see, the failure to hear the humanity of another, simply because the other does not look like the person with the power. Worse, it is ignorance that one's feelings of superiority prevent any attempt or desire to learn about other people and their culture. Too often, others are never seen because others are born to be subservient. The situation begs for education. But what is education? In its strictest sense, education is systematic instruction. But you must know I have a broader definition of education. That systematic instruction is the basis, the fundamental. There's so much more. If we could eliminate our ignorance toward others, we could solve many of the world's problems now. Mandela had the marvelous opportunity to attend school in an area where his culture was the culture. That is an advantage to the student that is an advantage to be devoutly wished. When a child learns about his culture, he avoids the trauma of being excluded because he is not like his classmates. The class is not ostracized. The child is not ostracized because of his skin color, hair texture, language, or other such superficial differences that can traumatize a person for life. He is not relegated to wondering whether the teacher calls on him because of his skin color, or worse, learning that the teacher avoids him because of his skin color. He does not devote headspace to the teacher's not calling on him. If he happens not to know the answer, he is not humiliated by others. Sometimes the teacher included. He has a teacher who gladly gives him the gift of time so he can learn at a reasonable, acceptable pace. Furthermore, he has a teacher who knows and respects his culture. Now, I'm not saying that the teacher must know the student's people and culture, but the teacher must respect the student's people and culture. It is simply that the young Nelson is in a village where people do value him, his people, his culture. He has a teacher who expects little Nelson to do his best and believes little Nelson can do well, has potential. The teacher makes doing the child's best the norm, not an anomaly or a fluke. Having a teacher who believes one can do well is a tremendous asset. There is no substitute for this beginning. For secondary education, Mandela attended Hillsdown, a Methodist boarding school, which, and I'm quoting here, focused on providing a well-rounded education with an emphasis on English language and literature, history, and music. Note, language, literature, history, and music. Here, students were prepared for college. Mandela enrolled at the University of Fort Hare in 1940, where he failed to get a Bachelor of Arts degree. You know why, don't you? Because he, was expelled for protesting. At an early age, he is aware of the difference between these two worlds in South Africa. However, he graduated from the University of South Africa in 1943 and studied law at the University of Witwatersrand. The difference in worlds is stark, I repeat. Here he became a political activist and co-founded the African National Congress Youth League, and this was in 1944. I never saw the term critical thinking while collecting this information, but I have no doubt that Mandela was taught to think critically. He knows who he is at an early age. The chasm between what is on one hand and what should and what ought to be on the other is vast. Closing the chasm demands risk. For himself, never devoid of his people, he knows he must ask battling the status quo. He must risk battling the status quo. He knows the necessity of such a battle can be costly. jailed for opposing apartheid, he continues his education. He recommends Tolstoy, Marx, Gordimer, Steinbeck, Shakespeare. Note the diversity. Imagine how much reading he could have done during 27 years of incarceration. Do you think he ever thought his goal was the wrong goal? We can learn much from Mandela. And I close with a few quotes from him. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. A good head and good heart are always a formidable combination. But when you add to that a literate tongue or pen, then you have something very special. Without language, one cannot talk to people and understand them. One cannot share their hopes and aspirations, grasp their history, appreciate their poetry, or savor their songs. No country can really develop unless its citizens are educated. The power of education extends beyond the development of skills we need for economic success. It can contribute to nation building and reconciliation. Education is the great engine of personal development. It is through education that the daughter of a peasant can become a doctor, that the son of a mine worker can become the head of the mine, that a child of farm workers can become the president of a great nation. It is what we make out of what we have, not what we are given, that separates one person from another. It is not beyond our power to create a world in which all children have access to a good education. Those who do not believe this have small imaginations. And finally, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Santiago Vega. Half the time I think I'm crazy, and the other half I know I'm crazy, says AAWA member Santiago Vega of himself. This craziness is akin to the craziness of Gandhi, Malcolm, and King, the kind of craziness that compels one to say what he believes is true, though he may be forced to stand alone. After listening to some of his ideas, many folks realize his craziness is the kind that can change the world for the better, the kind of craziness the world needs. Multilingual and multi-talented, Santiago writes, recites, dances, and teaches. This musician shares his talent with many cultures. Knowing everything is political, Santiago usually always writes about political issues of the day. This poet-philosopher ought to be heard. Santiago.
I wish that was planned, but it wasn't. All right, the first thing I'm going to do, background on it, If anyone knows me from kindergarten through college, those are people who know what I'm really about. And they know that, like George alluded to, I'm kind of like a political person. I'm always in stuff, right? And if I were a contemporary of Mandela, and if I were in South Africa at that time, we would have been boys. There's like no doubt about that. We would have been in the same circles and groups if I would survive, because I might be dead like Biko, but I would have been in the groups. So this first piece is imagining a letter, if I'm in the group and I'm alive in the maybe 70s or 60s with them, 70s, 80s, a letter between myself and both the Mandelas when Nelson was in prison and when he was going through the banning things, and this is what this is about. To Nelson and Winnie, you are the most prestigious and revered couple in the world, married to the struggle since birth and married to each other since Winnie was 22 and Nelson was 38. You both come from royal bloodlines and have contributed to the first in South Africa. Winnie was the first indigenous person to graduate with a degree in social work and even turned down a scholarship to America so you could stay and work with our people. Nelson, you, along with Walter Sisulu, opened the first native law firm. You would both be revered for those reasons alone, even if you weren't freedom fighters. But the hard part might be how to remain married to each other while being married to the struggle. Is it possible? Is it probable? What does this do to our children? Should we even have children under those circumstances? What about rumors of infidelity? What does fidelity even mean during normal times? And do normal times exist during epochs of war? Especially when so many of our comrades are murdered on a daily basis. Martin Luther King knew that he would be martyred and that each day could be his last. So he made love to as many women as he possibly could. Both of you read a lot. Have you heard of Wilhelm Reich and his books, The Mass Psychology of Fascism and the Function of the Orgasm? He wrote about the ties between fascism, patriarchy, control of natural sexual expression, etc. during the rise of the Third Reich, and how those psychological tropes influence decisions from the boardroom to the bedroom and vice versa. And Nelson, you have been in prison for 25 years. That's a quarter of a century. It makes absolutely no sense for Winnie not to have some sexual satisfaction during this time. It's unnatural, it's inhumane, and it's a tool that our oppressors use against us to weaken our spirit and resolve. If I were you, I would just hope that she showed me the new things that she learned if and when I got out. Because to love and make love and be loved are revolutionary acts against those that wish to trample us. So don't fight each other while fighting the system. We are all doing the best we can, navigating the twists and turns of this maze that was constructed by foreign invaders. Amandla. That's it. All right. Okay, now for the second one. So the second one is from the exhibit, and the exhibit was entitled Beware of the Natives. The exhibit, there was a sign that said, Beware of the Natives, right? So from this piece was born, and I'm going to try to remember the beat that I created 2 days ago, because it's not into my... But vamos, we're going to do this. Okay. Do we have a stand? We have the stand, por favor. I didn't figure those logistics out. Gracias, thank you. All right. See that I'm situated. Make everything in sight. Okay. Now we're cool. Beware of the natives, because they have drums. Beware of the natives and their filthy slums. Beware of the natives, because their drums talk in tones. Beware of the natives, because they feel things in their bones. Beware of the natives, who cast spells and stares. Beware of the natives, because this land is really theirs. Beware of the natives, whose spirits, bodies, and souls have inhabited this land for thousands of years. Beware of the natives, who constantly plot liberatory pathways through genocide, induce tears. Beware of the natives, who refuse to learn forced languages of colonization. Beware of the natives, who come to the realization that we can't kill them all, and we're heading for a fall. Since the white minority can't rule forever, our people are really dull, not clever. Yes, we are Boers, not very smart. We are the copiers, not the creators of art. And our supreme leader looks like a pale-faced clown. And like Jericho,
the walls are tumbling down. So yes, beware of the natives, because they see through us. Beware of the natives, because we fear what they'll do to us. If they ever come to power and choose to shower us with the same treatment that we gave them, like brutalizing and murdering on a soulless, empty whim. Sharpeville, Peterson, Pico, Slovo, while we emulate Marco Polo, occupiers in faraway lands, and like the Pied Noir in Algeria's last stands, we too will be forced to leave, and with crocodile tears, grieve the end of our southern Valhallan dreams and our caduceus bodies bursting at the seams. From prophets reached from Zulus in gold and diamond mines while seeking to escape international boycotts, sanctions, and fines by taking our stolen plunder overseas. So yes, beware of the natives who refuse to be slaves. Beware of the natives who will happily dance upon your graves and have the entire world sing in a cappella. Free, 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 Nelson Mandela. That's it.
You heard crazy, right? Okay. All right. I hope you got that. Our next writer tonight, reader, is Noni Ervin. Noni is a literary artist bridging cultural legacy and contemporary life. Creator of Panara Park Kids and curator of Experiencing the 7 Principles of Kwanzaa Anthology, Volume 1. She crafts, okay, thank you. She crafts stories celebrating African American heritage. Her work spans children's books, poetry, and memoirs, contributing to Motherly Magazine, South Seattle Emerald, and Killings Review. A leader in the Seattle-based African American Writers Alliance and founder of the Kwanzaa Awards, she transforms narratives into empowerment tools, whether developing anthologies or delivering keynotes. Her work nurtures resilience, sparks dialogue, and cultivates belonging through storytelling. Each project illuminates cultural pride with purpose. Noni.
hello, lovely people. It's wonderful to see you here, and the AC's on. What? All right. Thank you first to Mohai, the Mandela family, and all of the foundations associated with the Mandela exhibit getting to us and around the country and the world, really. Certainly to the Black Heritage Society, Miss Stephanie Johnson-Tolliver, showing up and making sure that we are able to show up. The African American Writers Alliance, and you. Thank you for joining us here with us today and those who will watch this later. For those visually impaired, I'm an African American woman standing almost 5'7". I have a short haircut that is a grown-out fade with tight curls and a little kink on the top. I'm wearing navy blue and I have on glasses. The first piece is dedicated to any adult in the vicinity of children or youth, entitled Nothing Seemed to Rhyme. Preparing for this Mandela exhibit showcase, I did as I typically do. A little research on the exhibit, including where it has been and why it exists, who benefits and what is its purpose. A walk through the exhibit. I prefer to bring my 2 sons. I like the discussion we have, and they see different things than I do, which I am fascinated by. I grab books, recordings, speeches, anything I can get my eyes or ears on. I found Mandela, The Lost Tapes on Audible. They include a great deal of recordings during the interview of his autobiography. I listened to the sound of his voice and what was important, just gaining from the leader that he was and what he's left with us. Then I began to throw bits and pieces into the pot. Making a new recipe is not as easy as some might think. Slicing and dicing, setting out seasonings, trying something new, imagining the delight of those who finally consume it, and desiring a rating of approval. For this Nelson Mandela exhibit, I was prepared to be lyrical and extravagant and animated, but I couldn't get past the fact that they changed his name to Nelson when he first attended school. Every African student receiving an English name reeks of control and domination, making all the stars, triangles, circles, and rectangles fit into a space designed for a square peg. I wanted to display creative dexterity, but I got stuck thinking about all the children and youth who never realized their destiny because of the trappings of apartheid. Bodies tossed onto the beds of pickup trucks. Minds were restricted or limited. Genius never to bloom and be shared with the rest of the world. I just knew that I would be outstanding with my linguistic somersaults and overachieving illumination. I would bring some new insight that no one else ever thought to bring. Still, all I could do was think about the 5th, 6th, and 7th graders who I recently met, who desperately want to know why they are so important. Before they can get to that answer, they need to be free to play with their gifts. Certainly every child has more than one. So here I am, with a binder full of prose. No music, no rhyme, and no desire to change it. Just the resonating reflection of Nelson Mandela. An understanding that systems that harm humanity cause trauma to us all. I tried to find a rhythm, but nothing seemed to rhyme. So I made a personal commitment to eradicate anything less than love. Thank you. This second and last piece is dedicated to the visionaries here with us. I see some of you. I see some of you. I see you. How'd you sneak in here? It's entitled Madiba. Apartheid, economic and political oppression, separation by color, ethnicity, and caste. It's what happens when a foreign nation enters and needs to protect what they have stolen. They set up a perimeter of power, privilege, and comfort for themselves. Anything that contends with that, even a level field, is hostile and a declaration of war. Of everything in the exhibit, I'm impressed by the slippers. Soft, fluffy, and luxurious. They symbolize a time when Mandela was older and had his grandchildren around him. I am reminded of my father. He was cautious and militant in his youth. He and others struggled to create a world where their children would be safe. He is now an old man, still making peace with his past, watching the world go through changes. I love Mandela's speech from the dock when he indicted apartheid. He was not a perfect man, but he was aware of the stakes. It required courage for him to stand in the face of certain death. He and his comrades, to everyone's surprise, received the leniency of life in prison. Visionaries like Mandela are often misunderstood while they are with us, ahead of their time while the rest of us catch up. Their continuous work is inglorious, but they are called to it and cannot walk away. They are certainly not without faults, but after a time, we remember them in their most extraordinary capacity and for their most profound contributions. Few live an entire lifetime. I wonder about the moments before. Those moments before such visionaries ever entered their time. Time being that dash between their born day and the day of their transition. I wonder about a conversation, an impartation, a deposit that occurred between Mandela realizing his destiny and championing peace for all mankind before he was born and before he was a young boy, before he experienced his rite of passage to manhood, before he would be a legal advocate for his countrymen, and a voice against apartheid, before he would spend decades imprisoned and then be presented with an opportunity of reconciliation with the institution that imprisoned him. I imagine something very deep within his molecules, injected into his essence, an understanding imparted before he ever entered the space of time. A voice. Oh, Madiba, dear beloved Madiba, assembled with compassion, built with joy and love, soon you'll step into the world. Before you go, be sure of this. You ascend from a melanated people, sun-kissed by the divine creator, marked with beauty and besieged with gifts. You resemble your hosts of people, greatness and honor. Stand tall in the cultural richness of your heritage. We will send you to a lush and fertile land, natural resources in every direction, from beneath the earthen surface to the top of the trees and lush vegetation, the southern tip of the Garden of Eden. You are fortified with gleaming gold, confidence as bright as the sun, mineral wealth under your bare feet, reaching high above your head to ground you, remind you, and secure you. Advocate for humanity. In your fight for freedom, though there be much, release the pain of bloodshed. Remember the pain, but do not hold tight to it. As often as it comes, and open your hands. Invite love and fulfilled purpose. Nothing small ever. When the past haunts you, look up to the sky and dream your dreams. Again and again, like the waves of the ocean, imagine a world where everyone is counted. Preserve hope and possibility in your heart for your nation. Surrender to harmony, community, and peace. From multiple points to a singular vision, embrace humanity, always, and however it comes. In the fullness and diversity of our color spectrum, teach the power of forgiveness and resilience. Dear beloved Madiba, your destiny will pull and tug on you. Fulfill it. Defy apartheid laws and unjust authority. Resist oppression with unshakable determination. Argue passionately for freedom and equality. Sacrifice everything for the liberty of your people. Inspire millions to fight for justice. The ancestors call your name. Give us now our branch puller. A constant sound, a fervent request. Rhythms and drum beats rise to our consciousness. They pound, they demand, louder and louder they sound. Give us now our branch puller, our troublemaker. We acknowledge, we affirm. Your troublemaker is on the way. Thank you.
My name is Jaye Ware, and I am your next poet. It's not going to be Lady Rose, who wanted to be here, who was signed up to be here, but who couldn't make it here. So again, my name is Jaye Ware, and I am going to follow the script that I sent in, kind of. First of all, I am the cake. The music that you hear will be the frosting. The dancer that should have been here, but went to Dublin, Ireland, and got very, very sick and cannot perform the dance as I do my poetry, was going to be the cherry on top. So ignore the cherry. Let me start with the script. If for any reason you cannot hear me, I'm looking out there. Just do something to get my attention, because I may step away from the mic and I don't want to do that. I may talk too soft and you're not hearing me in the back and I don't want to do that. So I will be looking at you to get a sense of how you're receiving me. Introduction. It is a pleasure to be here in this remarkable museum dedicated to keeping our history alive through public engagements, exhibits, and the arts. It really is an honor to be here. We who believe in freedom cannot rest resonates through the halls and the walls of museums such as Mohai. Now, my name is Jaye. Again, I became a member of the African American Writers Alliance the same year that the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. My best friend and poet passed away, was in the hospital, and I assure you, every television in that hospital was on the football game. It was so surreal. You had people in the hospital that were sick, that were dying, but the football game was playing on every television. I write poetry, perform spoken word, performance poetry. I enjoy doing performance poetry at all types of venues, and as Dr. Georgia McDade said, we've been to Vashon, Issaquah, Camano Island, and several other places. I also write short plays, and I've had 3 short plays produced, and I have another full-length play that will be produced in May 2026, and I want to give a shout-out to City Artist Grant for giving me the money to be able to do that. So let's get this started. I'm also a mother of 3 grown kids and a grandmother of 2. Hey, a grandmother of 2. South Africa, apartheid. Apartheid really hit home when, as a child, I recall watching a movie during Mandela's 27-year incarceration that included scenes about the murder of Stephen Biko at the hands of prison officials. I will never forget how angry and horrified I was to see a young African-American, back that up, African girl around 8 to 10 years old in the movie being questioned while she's being detained. She was in some sort of a detention facility, and I, as a young person, was scared. I was scared, and this was a movie for her safety, and she was crying. And the officer said to the other uniformed officers in the room, "Look, piss is coming out of her eyes. Look, piss is coming out of her eyes." I'll never unhear what he said. As a child, I sensed that she was in danger and that the men were going to hurt her, but first, they had to make her less than human. Mandela said, from the cradle to incarceration. Tacoma, Washington. As a child growing up in Tacoma, I was raised around other African Americans, Native Americans, and Caucasians, and enjoy, for many of you, my age range around here. And I enjoyed J.P. Patches, Beverly Hillbillies, Green Acres, Bonanza, and my sister and I both thought the little Joe was cute. I Dream of Jeannie, Tarzan, and other shows. But there was something that really bothered me about Tarzan that I couldn't put my finger on. I didn't understand why the writers gave the impression that only Tarzan could talk to the animals and was the savior of black Africans who were indigenous to the continent of Africa. It also bothered me that Africans were always running scared, terrified to Tarzan for help. I mean, really, as a child, I could not put two and two together. It felt like the show wanted me to believe that black Africans were weak, spineless buffoons dependent on white men. These negative images and narratives were meant to brainwash me, and to some extent they did, along with all Americans who only saw Africans as ignorant, impoverished, and desperately dependent on white men for everything. The richness and beauty of tribal history, culture, language, art, and industry was kept hidden from all of us, along with the lush green landscapes where animals roamed freely and hunted for food, not hunted for sport. Until the lion tells the story. The hunter will always be the hero. Until the lion tells the story, the hunter will always be the hero until the lion tells the story. The hunter will always be the hero. I am not your prisoner, Africaneers. I am not your prisoner, Africaneers. Number 4664 is not what the Almighty created me for. Born a member of the McDade clan, a free man, roaming, rolling green hills, given inalienable rights, my own free will to move, breathe, harvest crops, live on tribal Timbu soil, fishing, herding cows, sheep, swimming in cool lakes, rivers, creeks. Kalole Kala Kala is my proud birth name. Tree shaker, troublemaker, a roaring fire, a burning flame. I am not your prisoner, Africaneers. To suffer persecution, unlawfully detained, Kasul tribal language, inhaling, reach ancestral history deep into lungs, flowing through veins, elders making my calling sure, customs deeply embedded, instilling tribal strength to endure. I am not your prisoner, Africaneers. European missionary schools changing name to Nelson, oppressors, colonizers' tool, as common as Peter, Paul, John, subjected to brutal laws, savage attacks, a man from the Neverlands taking control by force, stealing our land, stealing our land, stealing our land without an ounce of regret or remorse, unleashing apartheid across the land, hiring thugs with unrestrained, bloody hands, passbooks, controlling movement, crushing spirits, freedoms banned, inferior health care, housing, oppressive rules, the means called band to no Tarzan. No Tarzan. No Tarzan. No Tarzan! No Tarzan! No Tarzan to the rescue! I am not your prisoner, Afrikaneers, raised by a chief tribal king after the passing of my father, Brazilian, self-assured, royal priesthood, molded to become a human rights activist scholar, rejecting the life of forced labor squalor. I'm not your darky. I'm not your slave. Separate cemeteries, separate graves. I'm not your inferior. I'm not your property. Subjected to disdain, mockery. I am not your prisoner, languishing in a cell. Lime quarries, a brutal living hell. I am not your Kaffir whipping boy. Tribal faith the size of a mustard seed. Tribal faith the size of a mustard seed that cannot be ignored. I'm a good troublemaker, created for greater things. I am a reconciler, mighty warrior, clothed in angel wings. A lion telling the story of vicious hostilities from Pampers to the presidency, from Pampers to the presidency, from Pampers to the presidency, with clean hands answering the call, abolishing apartheid once and for all, with clean hands answering the call, abolishing apartheid once and for all. I will be your president. My name will be called. I will be your president. My name will be called. I will be your president. My name will be called. Champion for peace, champion of the poor, Mandela, 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 breaker of chains, a life well lived. Not in vain. Thank you.
All right. The last reader tonight is Ms. Floes. And she is the proud recipient of the 2021 GAP Award and the 2022 Artist at the Center, the 2023 For Culture Projects, and 2022 Uptown Storefront grants. Her soul, that's S-O-U-L, connection to literature inspired the evolution of the BIPOC writer, performance poet, theater producer, director, actress, and vocalist. She is an ever-evolving artistic implant into Seattle. As an artist who employs a multidisciplinary approach to fuse poetic verse, that is, spoken words, theater, live music, and movement, she seeks to entertain, educate, advocate, and inspire positive collective progression. She's a current member of the African American Writers Alliance and also the Griot Party Experience. Ms. Floes.
How's everybody? Hey, girl. In theater, they say I just broke the fourth wall talking to the audience. But my bestest friend is out there, so I say, hey, girl. So, we are here spreading love and honoring Nelson Mandela. It was my intention to have something made for everyone to pass out, but I was unable to get that done. But I was able to bring this and share it so you can at least see it. This fabric was intended for wardrobe for Nelson Mandela prior to his imprisonment. It is my inspiration for the piece that I bring to you today. And it was gifted to me. Some of them know him. He is an African-American writer with the Alliance by Baba Frenchie Condé Lamont. If I could have some music, maestro. Forever royal, loyal to his purpose. He made a commitment to his people, a motivator. He was a lover of humanity. He fought for equality. You see, he believed that courage was not the absence of fear, yet the triumph over it. I believe forgiveness surely resided within his spirit. And if you listen close, you can hear it. His life force, you can feel it. His voice, it calls out. He instructed with passion. He offered education as the most powerful weapon. Now use it. Go out and change the world. He poured into you and left it all in your hands. Now go forward and construct a better realm for all to reside in and be free. He said freedom was not the mere elimination of chains. You see, we must live in a light of respect and enhance the freedom of others, be keepers of that light. And at times you will have to fight just to keep your rights, but still keep climbing. He said after a great hill is climbed, only one finds that there are many more hills still yet to climb. And I implore you, sisters and brothers, fathers and mothers, to keep climbing and rise above it all. And when or if you should fall, get up. Continue on the path unwavering, forever royal. Be loyal to the mission. Make sure it's in an upright position, never kneeling. Remember, his inspiring words meant not only to be heard, but to be utilized. Please open your eyes. See the goal. Freedom. 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 Now take hold of that concept and move. Positive progression is the key to a better life for you and me. You might ask, who was he? Nelson Mandela. Born 1918 into the left-hand house. He was denied his seat on the throne, given the forename Rolilhala, a term colloquially meaning troublemaker. Did he or did he not allow the name to define the man he became? Nelson. A man who devoted his life to saving humanity. A man embracing his African pride. He focused on putting an end to apartheid. He was forever royal and loyal to his purpose. He had made that commitment to his people. Fear did not break him, didn't cause him to shed any tears, not even after being in prison for 27 years. Forever royal, loyal to his purpose. Made a commitment to his people, a blue blood, a determined spirit. a voice of reason, and the people could hear it. He was their choice. The son of a chief, the grandson of a king, power and purpose in that voice.
Never forget.
Can you hear it?
Our friends, our old friends. We have not forgotten that it was the masses of the people of the United States of America who supported us when we were all alone, when none of our officials could be seen by any government representative in the West. The people of the United States of America never forget. I do not want on occasions like this to introduce any element of an ethnic nature, but the Afro-Americans never forgot that Africa is their continent.
Yes, even without a throne, he was indeed royal. He led with wisdom, never hid his face. He walked in his light, head held high. Even during guerrilla training, resolute, maintaining his stance during violent times. He would use any means to fight against the nasty crimes of apartheid. Forever royal, loyal to his purpose. I say his name. Forever royal will he remain. Rolilala, Dale Banga, Madiba, Mandela. Thank you.
So this song is Nkosisikilele Afrika. It was written in 1897 during the throes of colonialism all throughout the continent. It was written by a South African pastor, and it means God bless Africa. In 5 Southern African states, they've adopted this song as the national anthem. And I'll give a version. There's so many versions of this. It's one of the things that from the beginning, the first time I heard it, fell in love with it. It's just straight to the heart. And people all over the continent know it. Once I was invited to do a poetry thing with Somalian immigrant women, first generation, basically didn't speak English. And I said, well, why? It doesn't make sense for me to go to a Somali place and do a poem in English. So I did this. And after this song, so many people came up to me, and because they felt it, they said, like, what is this? We feel this, share this with us. So here it is. And this is a traditional African instrument. It's most of the continent, we have something like this. It's called the berimbau in Portuguese, and it's called penda in Southern Africa. And even to this day, we're still majority rural in Africa. Yeah. It's on the program. It's on the program. The song is on the program. The loose translation in the last page. I might follow it, but because there's so many versions. But I will follow it at least a little bit. But this is throughout Africa we carry water and milk in this, and this was the bow and arrow before, and we tied it together. And we get sound, and this is the grandfather or the great-grandfather of the guitar. So, put it together. Here we go. I think this comes out.
Kosisikileli Africa. Male pamandi sulu sapo wayo. Iswa imitanta so yetu. Kosi sikelela. Ina lusapul wayo. Kosi sikileli Africa. Mali pamandi lusapul wayo. Iswa imitanta zoleto. Kosi sikelela. Ina lusapul wayo. Woza woza. Woza woza. Ina lusapul wayo. Ina lusapul wayo. Kosisikileli Africa. Nani namandi sulu sapo kwayo. Ima imitanda zo yetu. Kosisikelela. Ina South Africa. Ina lusapul wayo. Gracias.
We now have a chance to do a Q&A with the amazing artist you got to hear from. So if you have a question that you would like to ask, raise your hand and my colleague Ian will come to you with a microphone, and I will leave it to the amazing writers to share this mic between them.
They have the questions, not us. Ask a song.
He has a lengthy time of experience. What was it that, what did you do to consolidate what would be the most important parts of what you told about him? How did you make that distinction?
Since I have the mic, I'm going to start. That's absolutely impossible. He lived 95, 96 years. So I just picked something that stood out, like the relationship thing like that. But as far as something that's salient, no way. There's just too many things that he did, and yeah.
So what I did was I wrote about everything that resonated with me. And that's how I came with my synopsis. Just, he did, like Santiago said, he did so much. It was hard to encompass everything or even write about everything he did because we only had so many minutes to perform. So I just wrote about what resonated with me.
I love performance poetry to begin with, and I always hated from prison to the presidency. I always hated hearing that. I'm like, he was so much more than a man who went to prison and then became the president. And so that is why, my piece, one, had to be performance, but it was also essential that you learn just a little bit more about this man and how incredible an individual that he was. And he was not just a number. but he was born to become president. And he was protected, and I think of other people that I'm going to mention. He was protected for that purpose. And so that was my thought was that he was not a prisoner. So first of all, you got to be a prisoner in your head. So you might be restrained, but you have to be a prisoner in your head. And he was not a prisoner in his head. He was meant for greater things.
Thank you. I came here to see the exhibit, when was that? Maybe a month or so ago. And at the time, I knew I was going to write about something, but I hadn't quite decided. And then, you know, every day in the news in the USA, there is more ignorance spread. Every day. And I used to say, well, it won't get lower. Then the next day, something else happens, a little bit lower. And it just, and what hurts, pains, the number of people who don't realize it's ignorance, you know, just one example I was talking about earlier today. How can it be 1,000% of something? I mean, what grade do you learn about percents? How can it, I just don't understand that. And this is not some mentally ill person out there on the corner. This is the President of the United States of America. I hate to admit it, but the most powerful person in the world, spreading ignorance like that. And so I just felt compelled to say something about education and how important it is or was to Mandela and to many people. I still think there are far more people who are doing the right thing, want to do the right thing than the wrong thing. But it's who has the mic. And this man has the mic. And we just got to get it from him. Oh, okay. Next question. Somebody back there. Yes.
I'm on my way.
In 1990, when Nelson Mandela came to my hometown, Detroit, I saw him live. Now, that was a few years ago, right? But because you all were doing this tonight, and I've come all the way from Bellingham just to see you, thank you. For the first time, I watched the historical video of that performance, well, not his performance, but his visit in Detroit. I had forgotten. I had forgotten some of the details of some of the people who were speaking and who were performing. And this evening, after listening to you all, it just reminded me that this is going to stick with many of us years later. And so my question is, what is it that you want us to do when we leave here?
I have the mic. I want people to love people simply because they're people. I have been saying for years that love is a noun, but it's also a verb. And too many people just say it as a noun. It's easy for us to say, I love you, I love you, I love you. And oh my goodness, we love our shoes, Ms. Floes. We love our hairstyles, we love our vehicles. We just love, 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 love. And very often, it costs absolutely nothing to say I love you. But when you use love as a verb, you have to move, you have to act. And part of remembering that love is a verb is remembering that it may cost something. You have to give up something that you really love or really like. You have to do something or not do something that you really want to do or you really don't want to do. And what I want, it just seems to me that if everybody, I always say if we could get the families straight, then the families could spread out and they could help other people. But we gotta start somewhere, and it's not just enough. And don't get me wrong, tell people you love them, but we have to do more than speak. We have to act the love, and that's what I want people to do. Everywhere I go, that's what I want people to do. Show the love.
Mine's going to be short, sweet, and simple. Just do the right thing. I mean, really, I just want people to leave here and do the right thing. I mean, you know what's right. It takes courage. And so I want you to leave here with some courage.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for traveling from Bellingham. I mean, first of all, that's beautiful. You said a couple of things. You reminded me of my teenage son right now. He's a senior in high school. He's not here tonight. But one of the essays, the individuals in history he's researching, or he researched, was Mandela. And the part of the essay project is, after he looks at his resources, credible resources, and then his experiential resources, is he has to have conversations with others, a friend, auntie, grandma, brother, mom, dad, community member. So there's deadlines on this every week. So when he's short on time, he runs to mom, hey mom, can I talk to you about, and let's talk about this. One of the things that we realize when we're talking is that he's learning much of this for the first time. And my question to him is, how do you feel about that? How do you feel that your textbooks have a sentence for this work? And then you multiply that by all of the amazing people in the world who contributed. So when you ask the question of what do you want us to do, I'm also reminded of other young people that I work with. The reflex of children is to be. They will see this and they will hear and listen and they will say, I want to be better than this thing that I've seen. I want to be a friend. I want to help my neighbor. That they will say, I want to be. And the adults almost always ask what to do. And so I would encourage you to be. Be in your humanity. Be bothered and uncomfortable by things you hear and see. Be upset enough to show up some way for some person, right? Just be, and that is uncomfortable. So be uncomfortable, just being.
I guess the best way for me to answer the question is, I want you to be powerful when you leave. And I'll give you a poem to show you what I mean by that, really short. Power to the people providing positive paths for purpose and progression, because that's powerful.
I'm going to piggyback, excuse me, on what everyone said and agree. And what do you want us to do? Well, the first thing, I'm going to congratulate you from coming from Bellingham, because you've cut the Afro-descendant population of Bellingham in half, right? So, all right, I'm going to be serious. All right, what I really want you to do is find 100 people and have them Venmo me thousands of dollars. No, I'm kidding. So the truth of the matter is, I've been a poet and an artist since I was in grade school, and I don't seek to influence anyone. It's kind of like we said, just be. So when I write and when I do things, I just put them out there, and you can react any way you want. You can say, like, I was moved by this person, I don't like this person, I hate this person, whatever. once something goes public, and it's a choice to go public, because for many years I didn't share anything with anyone but my friends, period. So once it goes public, though, people interact with it any way they want to. So whatever you want to do with it or don't want to do with it, it's good with me.
I think we have time for one more.
Thank you. So I am proudly South African American, and I've had the honor of voting for Mr. Nelson Mandela, Barack Obama, and Ms. Kamala Harris. Yep. So my question to you today is this: what inspires you about this man's story as we're going through what we're going through right now? Because I have sat back and said to a lot of people, just relax. We've been through this. It's the people who affected everything we see up there. It was the people with leaders like him who inspired you all, like you beautiful, what you shared was so powerful, to act, right? So for me, as you have shared your beauty to all of us, my question is, what is it about him, 2025, August, whatever date it is, that inspires you at this moment?
Okay. How can I simply answer this? Maybe I can't. Nelson Mandela, like Stephen Biko, like Fred Hampton, like Winnie Mandela, like Martin Luther King, like Kwame Ture, like Coretta Scott King, like Fidel Castro, like so many people. They're the culmination of, they're like the tip of a great iceberg that goes to parts of the oceans that we haven't ever explored yet. So when I think of Mandela and I think of the movement, I think of all of us. It's like Mandela was strong because he represented the people when this people supported him. So what do I get from this? It's just like, basically, to put it in a nutshell, it's just the strength of community. And like, he's the one that represents us in a good way. And unfortunately, since we're all in the US now, that orange clown in DC is what represents those people in a bad way. So like, he's not alone, he's doing crazy stuff, but there's Mandela in this movement is like, it's like the apex of what it is to live in beauty and live in strength and to think of a really better and more perfect world.
To answer your question, what inspired me with regard to Nelson Mandela is his ability to not only see the dream, but achieve it.
I was inspired about his ability to be so resilient and so positive after everything he went through, everything he endured, everything he experienced, and the sacrifice he was willing to make. And, you know, I think about that with other leaders, too, who are committed and dedicated to a purpose. They have a purpose, and so even though you have a family, people that you love, people that you care about, people that you would like to be there for, people you'd like to be with, you'd love to see your children grow up. You'd love to see them walk for the first time. You'd love to be at the PTA meeting, but the purpose has a greater calling in your life. So about him is I was so enamored and inspired by him. How can a human being go through as much as he personally went through when he saw the people of South Africa going through. And yet, when he was in prison, I told you I don't like that from, but this is one thing I remember, is that he immediately went in there doing what he was meant to do. And that was to make things better for the prisoners. So he didn't go in there thinking, woe is me, it's over for me. He was still thinking about the people and how he can make a positive difference. And it chokes me up when I think about that, because I have so much admiration for people who have done that. And if you think I'm getting ready to give this mic to Georgia, that went through the civil rights movement and sacrificed their lives. And I don't mean just African Americans. I mean other ethnic groups as well, and other cultures that believe in the purpose and the power of love.
Thank you. The word, two things come to my mind when I think about Mandela. And Jaye said one of them, and that word is resilience. I have a friend who's, ever so often something happens, and he puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, because he thinks I'm a very responsible person, and he says, Georgia, responsibility ain't all it's cracked up to be. And we always laugh about it because there are a lot of things that people expect of us, we expect of ourselves, and we come through over and over again. But there are times when we get tired. But when the picture I remember most of Mandela is when he's walking down the street, no, dancing down the street with all of these. I can see that right now. And it wasn't just that he was resilient and being incarcerated all of that time. But once he got out, he didn't say, well, I'm going to rest, or what am I going to get, or how am I going to be compensated, or whatever. He just kept right on working. And I think he honestly, sincerely forgave those people. You know, some people are destroyed by hate, but this man, it was something about him that it's, it was your problem. I'm not going to make it my problem. And I want to be like that. I want to just forgive and forgive and forgive. And it just seems to me that there ought to be a limit, a line. But that takes me back to my love. You know, if you really love, you really care, you really believe, then there is no such line. And so you just stay there and you stand and you do what you believe needs to be done. And I like to think that that is the right thing. Jaye said people had to do the right thing, but I know too many people who don't know what the right thing is, so that creates problems. But Mandela did, and it, from what I can tell, it never left him. He was resilient and he was forgiven, and more of us need to do both, be both.
Just a final thought. I think what is stuck with me most about Mandela is that he was in line to be the chief. He had an understanding of the weight of the chief. The lineage from his father's side, they were counselors to the king. And so the counselors, they gave wise counsel to the king. So this is what's part of this young man, this young boy growing up with this chief. And then I think about our kids in class who, if we could be clear on what's inside of them so they could know who they are and not be discovering themselves, not that there's anything wrong with discovering yourself, but the king took him, the chief took him everywhere with him. And so, when I was younger, I would go everywhere with my mom. I would go to the business meeting, I would go to the office, I would go out to the truck routes, I would go to the fun stuff and the unfun stuff. And then I had an understanding of what ownership and responsibility of employees and their families and showing up meant. So he had an understanding. So now enter school, grade school, and he got expelled. There he goes, he got expelled in, was it middle school, high school? But he was voted. Okay, so in that instance, so go do your homework and do some research. He was morally opposed to the situation that was going on. And the students voted, and he actually won. But because he was morally opposed, he said, I cannot accept this. And then he left the school. So it was already something that was a part of him, of this moral plumb line of what is my responsibility. And he's human. So every child is human, but every child grows up to be an adult. And what is in them, that is resilient.
One last thing I always do, and she's not gonna like it, but she's gonna have to take it. The reason why we're here is our co-founder, Georgia McDade. She is the first African descended person and that got a degree, that got a doctorate in English from the University of Washington. So that's the first, and that's just, that's a trailblazer. I said first in my piece before, if it weren't for her, we would not be here, because she's kept this group alive, and we're here today because of her efforts of how many years? If it's 91, that's what, 34 years, right? So we're here today, and kudos to her. Yeah.
Thank you all for coming this evening. Let's give another big round of applause for the African American Writers Alliance.